So by now, you know what is an arabesque leaf scroll, and you will be able to identify everywhere in Cairo. Now, nowhere you will actually go to except you will find our leaf scroll, even in the 21st century buildings. It carried itself quite nicely. And what we do at the Islamic Arts Museum Malaysia is we come up with one idea, we develop it. We develop a catalog, this one, and we welcome scholars to start working on the subject, because it would be a pity to look at all of the vegetal repertoire of the Islamic arts in general and call it all arabesque. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that history of the most important elements of Islamic art. Would anyone in the audience like to ask some questions? Yes.
We've always known that arabesque is an integration of geometric patterns, plants, and calligraphy. So now we're changing this
Okay,
stereotype.
It's a good point. Okay, what is, from where did we get this word arabesque? Who called it arabesque? And why did he call it arabesque? Okay, and that happened actually towards the end of the 19th century with a scholar who's called Alor Rigel, and he is a German scholar, and he was actually trying to understand and to coin this design, which he can see from all around the Islamic world, and give it a name, and give it a title. So like Moresque, they decided at that point to call it, okay, it is the Arab-esque. So in a way, it is a coined term. So we know that in a couple of decades later, Professor Kühner, he is the one who decided to give it its characteristics. He decided to give us a more clearer understanding of what this leaf that they call arabesque is. And then he gave the two main components, one which is the leaf and the stem. So when we have a leaf stem and a leaf bifurcate and a stem comes out of it, and so they will call this an arabesque. But if this is something that, a term that came up in the 19th and 20th century, how about the Islamic world? Has it disappeared? Was it never actually coined with another term? Of course not. In Turkey, because I have shown several examples from Turkey, in Turkey it is called the Rumi. So this is the Rumi leaf. And in Persia, in Safavid Persia, for example, it is called Islimi. Islimi is this arabesque. And when we come to North Africa and our part of the world, we called it Tawriq and we called it Nabati. So these are all terms that were actually used, and not only used in the 19th and 20th century. We have actually a lot of scholars, and we have treatises that talk about the designs in the Islamic world. And just like calligraphy, remember calligraphy, we have all kinds of different subtitles and designs of calligraphy, if it is Kufic or Nastaliq or Diwani. Also we have for designs, we have Arabesque, Islimi, we have Hitai, which is Chinese, we have Frenchi, which is European, and so on. So I have notes. So the scholars in the 16th and 17th century pinpointed at arabesque, giving it its name. So actually today when I talk about arabesque, I use the name that is common among the art historians and the designers. But perhaps in the future there will be another term that we may all agree on. And
well, it's perhaps you didn't move from Islami to Islami and be Islamesque, because
yes.
there's a theory, in fact, in some sources that the Persian term Islami is actually derived from Islami.
Yes,
and some of the earliest Persian histories of calligraphy say that Ali was the first
yes,
to use this particular style of decoration. and so connected with one of the very earliest manifestations of Islam.
And adding on that, it is because Ali is thought to have drawn the first Islami leaf that we know that it flourished in Persia and it never died out in Persia and it was never pushed aside because of religious reasons.
Yes, very much so. Any other questions?
I remember, if I go back to 40 years ago, the word arabesque was defined a bit differently. It was the continuous circular movement of the stem to which you attach leaf. So it was not the leaf that was called the arabesque, it was the continuous circular motion. When did that change to become the leaf and not the continuous movement of the stem?
It's true. When we were doing my research, there was a lot of definitions for arabesque, and there was a lot of ideas that popped up. But we decided to go back further to the beginning. So who gave it this term, and why, and when, and then to move on in time with it. So yes, there were other theories, but I go back to the original, the one who really coined the name, the term arabesque. So that's where I actually started to see his scholars and his entourage, and Kuhnel is actually the continuation of Riegel, and that is how they actually define it. So having it as a continuous scroll is there, but it is not the characteristic of what they used to call the arabesque. Because you can, as in my first slide, you can see a continuous scroll, but the leaf is not correctly attached to it, and it does not actually generate, the leaf does not generate more stems. So in a way that if we can agree on that it becomes this kind of an arabesque that we're talking about, you can see it everywhere. Because when we try to look only for scrolls, no, it was more towards regional variations rather than international. And today we are happy to share this concept of arabesque with the British Museum goers, and that is because it in a way binds Islamic arts together. As now the trend is to fragment it, but we are trying to still bring it together.
Yes, thank you for a most enlightening presentation. It's very, very interesting. And I'm always concerned about the way forward. Like, what do we do? How do we get students interested in this? And I find that students who are not experts in the field, who are not majoring in this, find it fascinating to learn through experiential learning. So I do a lot of hands-on Islamic patterns, workshops with them, and there's stuff like, I know the New York Met offering workshops related to that. But I haven't heard of workshops that are user-friendly for non-specialized, students that help create this type of arabesque. Are you familiar with any,
Yes,
or does the museum have those, or how can we access that so we could move this information forward to the next generation?
Yeah, true. It was important to be able to break down the design and for us to understand it further. And to build up this relationship between geometry and this beautiful leaf scroll. So actually what we did is we teamed with an institution in the UK called the Princess School for Traditional Arts. It has a section here in Fustat, and it is actually taught. And we also actually worked with them to develop a nice workshop and a video that is now running at the British Museum Gallery. Okay, and so the Princess School of Traditional Arts breaks down the different motifs, and one of them is arabesque. But in the process of producing this exhibition, curating it, and producing the publication, we worked with a scholar, Khaled Azzam, and he is the head of the Princess School. And we actually presented to them our historical finding, and we built it together. So in a way, they were also not familiar exactly with what is an arabesque, and it was just a design for them that their students would just replicate. But now that we were able to work with them, to show the variations and the development, they were able to create it in a systematic course in a way. So I would suggest that you contact Khaled Azzam, Dr. Khaled, or to contact Delfina, who is one of the major contributors in this sports school.
Thank you. I know some of you have to run off for
Yes.
class at 2 o'clock, so
Sure.
there are still drinks and sandwiches in the other room, so please help yourself to those if you have time, and we can ask Dr. have any questions there. So,
Sure, of course.
once again, thank you very much.
Of course. I would like to welcome all of you to the Islamic Arts Museum Malaysia. That's where I actually work. And if you need my cards, I have few cards. So